Gosh dang if I'm not just a huge fan of big spooky ghost boys, and as luck would have it, Warhammer Age of Sigmar just released a new book that updates the Night Hunt army to make big spooky ghost boys really fun to play. I've never completed a fully painted army. It typically takes me an hour or two to paint a single mini because I'm slow, but I decided if I make it a challenge, I might actually be able to get this done in under 24 hours of working time. So that's exactly what I set out to do. I put the minis together and blam, they look this good right out of the box. Just kidding, obviously, we gotta actually do the painting part now. I'm timing myself to only spend 24 hours working on this army, and I'm spreading it out over a weekend, but you'll see why later in this video I had to do that. But for now, let's begin. I have a few older Night Hunt models that I already put together a long while back when I was testing out paint schemes, but the majority of the army is going to be all brand new models. All in all, the new models took me about 4 hours to put together, and I subtracted an additional 2 hours of my time for the older models that I already had put together. They were push-fit models, so if anything, this is a pretty conservative estimate, but that meant that I was already 6 hours into this project just by putting the models together, so I gotta pick up the pace. I have no idea how Brent from Goobertown puts the models together so quickly. So obviously the first thing we need to do to these minis is prime them, and I'm gonna prime them with a matte black primer, not even a fancy one. By the way, I got the idea for this challenge and color scheme from Slayer Miniatures on YouTube. I'm gonna be doing a lot of what he did because I love his color scheme and wanted to see if I could replicate it, though I made mine a lot lighter where his is really bloody and dark and rusty. He's super skilled, go check him out. So after I completely primed them in the matte black, it was time to move on to the bone color. I'm using an Army Painter bone just because it was the best bone that I could find, and I don't even do it that well. I leave lots of spots and splotches as I'm doing mine. I basically do an overhyped zenithal highlighting, making sure that almost all of the spots that you could see directly from the top down are covered in bone in some way. And then I do a regular type of zenithal highlighting with the Corax White. I only use Corax White because I have Corax White paint so I can fix any mistakes that I have, but this is kind of the gradient that I'm going for. You can see it really well here on the Bladegeist, a nice white at the top wherever the sun is going to be hitting on it, with the bone going down further, but I do leave a lot of the flames more white than other parts of the model, but the black is really made to just be underneath these models, giving it a shadow from where no light would hit it, whereas Slayer Miniatures leaves a long black trail on the back to make it as if they're coming out of shadows. Mine is more just natural shadows on these models. This is normally where I stop when I paint an army. I say, okay, it's good enough to play on the table, but I'm going for the challenge and I want these things to be fully painted, so it's time to do some skin and bone paintings. I take some Seraphim Sepia. You can definitely use something like Guilliman Flesh, but it looked too alive for me, and so I just did a Seraphim Sepia all over anything that was considered flesh or bone. That's flesh like on their arms or anyone that happens to have a face, which is very rare and few and far between, but mostly on the arms and the bones of creatures that they ride. My confidence level in painting is super low, so every stage that I got through in this, I was like, oh man, I should just stop here. This looks pretty good, but that's just because I've never completed a full army, like I said. 12 hours in and I was just done with the bones. I really needed to pick up the pace. It was time to start working on the metal. I use a couple of different metal colors through the painting, mostly sticking to the Vallejo gunmetal color or the Citadel Retributor armor, the gunmetal for things like swords and axes, and the Retributor armor for armor or maces, because it kind of looks like gold, but it's also a very old brassy color, which I think fits for dead boys. This also kind of naturally created a kind of gray and gold color scheme for the models, and I was all about that. I tried to do a really bright color with the Vallejo gold on the mask, but it didn't stick all that well, or it didn't look all that great. I don't know, something just felt wrong about it, and so I went back and painted all of the masks with the Retributor armor gold. I went on to painting all of the leather with the snakebite leather, but after trying it on one model, I just didn't think that it was all that great. It was too light. And so I tried Sigor Brown instead, and then when I tested it with the gold masks, I was like, okay, yeah, no, this is the combo that I'm going for. So instead used the snakebite leather on the wood pieces. I didn't dilute it at all. I thought keeping it kind of darker made it feel almost more driftwood-y, and I really liked that. And then I took some Griftcharger gray to the hair of the Banshees on Lady Olinder's model. It's the only thing with this kind of blue tint to it, and so I thought it stood out in a nice way. And then for all of the handles and cloth bits on like the Bladegeist for their blades, I took a Dark Angel's Green, which I'll come back to and you'll see a little bit better in a moment, and some Plaguebearer flesh to all of the wood bits that look like they might get a little rusty or have some moss on them. And this is another reason that I praise the Slayer Miniatures challenge, because it showed me some really cool effects like the Plaguebearer flesh on that wood or on the skin here, and how it really makes things look old and decayed with very little effort. You can see after it dried here on the chain rasp, it just looks fantastic. Then I had to do just a bunch of little minor things things, like painting up the roses on Lady Olinda. I had to be very, very careful when I did that because I don't want to get any of that red on the little green that I put the Plague Bearer flesh on for the leaves. And then I got to use some blood for the blood god, which makes things look really shiny and like realistic blood. I ended up putting that on the broken hourglass for Lady Olinda because it kind of looked like blood coming out of an hourglass, and I thought that was cool. And the blood little magical effect on the Cruel Gas Cruciator. I ended up painting Kurtos Valentian's banner that same Dark Angel's green as I did with all of the blades on the blade gas little handles that was kind of leather wrapped, or the scabbard like on the Knight of Shrouds. I thought that kind of tied everything into a dark little green color. And then I took a basic alum gray and painted over all of the stone or statues on things like Reichnor's base. After that was done, I took the very bright gold and painted all of the chains like on the Knight of Shrouds, and I gave Kurtos Valentian the brightest gold crown that he could possibly have. I wasn't really sure which of the gloss varnishes that I should use. I tested both of them out and ended up liking the Krylon. Makes sense, that's what most mini painters on YouTube will tell you to use. Apparently a gloss varnish is super duper important when it comes to oil washes. I've never done one before, but I really liked how the oil wash turned out in Slayer Minis video, so I'm going to try an oil wash for the first time. These minis are super duper shiny, and I honestly wanted to stop right here. I was like, man, these are done. I'm very, very happy with them, but fortune favors the bold, right? So let's try something new. Let's try out a black wash using some black oil paints and some odorless, colorless mineral spirits. I don't really know what ratio I should use. There's not a lot of good information for that online, or I just looked in the wrong places, so I guess that seems about right. I was very, very liberal with this. I know a lot of people say that you don't have to be, but I wanted to save time because I didn't have a lot of time left, and I just put it all over every single model. And I mean all over the models. I could have basically dunked it in this stuff, and that would have been a quicker way to go about it. I just did a lot of kind of clearing off the highlighted and raised surfaces by taking a Q-tip, dunking it in the mineral spirits, and going against the edges to make sure those were nice and bright and shiny, going over the masks and any of the kind of humps like you see here on the Bladegeist, or Bladegeist, I might be saying it wrong the whole time, just to give it the impression of highlights. Here's a comparison of an undried oil wash on the left and one that has no oil wash on it on the right. It looks a little bit different when it dries, but it's basically going to look like what it does on the left there in the end. It's up to you whether you want to do it or not. I really thought about stopping without doing the oil wash, but my wife said, no, you should do it. The shadows look really good. And so I ended up doing it on all the models, which was worth it because look what it does for things like Lady Olinda's eyes there. It really makes a lot of detail on these models pop. Even the Lord Executioner, you can kind of see details of hidden eyes beneath the sheets. At the time I was thinking, these look great. And then I thought, ouch. I ended up having to go to the emergency room for a pain in my side that I thought was appendicitis, but luckily it wasn't, and I didn't need surgery. Woohoo. But that's why the project is 24 hours of working time and not 24 hours in a row. I was not about to start the project over, so please forgive me for spending a few days extra on the challenge and making it a working 24-hour challenge. Thank you. Anywho, after a brief recovery, I finally got to move on to basing. I don't have a lot of time left, but I wanted to do a DIY version of Sterling Mud. I'm not going to pay for all the Sterling Mud that I needed, and so I got this coffee. I really liked the texture that was in here, and I was going to mix it up with some black paint. And so, with this instant coffee and my favorite apple barrel black paint, I started mixing them up. Notice that I zoomed in on instant coffee crystals there. There's a reason for it. As I mixed this stuff up, I was like, where'd all that texture go? Oh, yeah, instant coffee crystals. This stuff dissolved, and I basically just made coffee-smelling black paint, which I'm sure there's a market for, but it is not what I was going for at all. So I got some regular just ground coffee that is not instant coffee at all, added the black paint to that, and that was a lot closer to what I was looking for, a very black Sterling Mud-looking Citadel texture paint. And I can make a lot of it for very cheap. I'm not like the other YouTubers that have a really cool texture applying tool. I just broke a popsicle stick in half and am just going to apply it to the base of these minis. There's lots of room on these blade gas, and so it's really easy to apply it there, but some others I do have to be a little bit careful on. Because these are so well painted and done, or at least well painted for my book, I had to be very careful not to get any of this on the actual models themselves. So it took me a while, and I was very careful going about that. Then I did a very heavy application of a brown dry brush. I more just painted than I really did a dry brush. At some spots I really kind of dipped that paint down in there, and I even did the same thing with a gray later later to kind of give some varying colors on this. The gray I did more as a straight dry brush. I wanted this to look like a kind of muck that these ghosts are fighting in, maybe in the mountains or an old graveyard. I think that I accomplished it. I think it looks really good as far as the basing is concerned, and now I can move on to the part I was most excited about. I have 2 hours left, and I wanted to do some object source lighting with the flames on the models that have any actual direct source of light, like Rybonator or the chain rasp that has the candles on it, and I've been working for weeks to try and fix my airbrush. It broke. I described that in a video a long while back, and I think I finally got it fixed and cleaned properly. I even got some specific airbrush paint, and nope, still didn't work. So I tried one more time to clean it up, and I actually got some paint to come out of it, and I was super excited, and I kind of rushed into this. I said, okay, some paint is coming out. It's weird. It feels like it's coming out at a downward angle. That's not exactly right, but I'm going to try it on the spirit host and see if I can get something to work. I wanted the object source lighting to work so badly. It was the thing that I love most about Slayer Mini's tutorial, and I was like, I can do that. It'll look fantastic. But you can see here as I'm painting it on, it's coming out downwards out of the airbrush. That's not good, and so it's coming out in like big globs and making things really wet and not even at all. And I definitely overdid it there. I know that's my fault, but hey, I just was trying to make something work. I ran that model under some water and let it dry so that I could work on it, but I decided, okay, I only have an hour and a half left and I have a lot to do. I'm just going to do a very quick contrast paint flames using yellow, orange, and red contrast paints, going from lighter to the darker red and just leaving my brush wet the entire time, and just trying to make as close to a flame as I possibly can. Using the orange, I go up about 2/3 of the way from the flame in each of the separate flames that I do, and then with the red going over where I did the orange, I go up about 1/3 of the way on the flames. And honestly, I thought it was looking pretty darn good. I was actually really happy with the flames. If only it actually made light on the model, like an object source light, that would have been really cool, but oh well, you can't win everything, and I'm trying to do this in 24 hours, so I had to hurry. A little bit of black on the tips to make it look like it's starting to turn into smoke, and after that dried, that was mighty fine looking. For a very quick substitute, I was pretty happy with it. I think it looks pretty good on the candles. I could have done it on the mane of Rybonator's kind of flying steed, but chose not to, but all in all, really happy with the flames. The only things that I didn't care for was the spirit host. I just had to dab some orange on the tips of those candles and call it good, just purely for time's sake, but I won't talk about those if you won't. I'm going to take some black paint and go around the edges of these bases. I only have an hour left, but having a nice clean edge of your base really distinguishes where the edge of the base is and the actual basing that you've done for the model is, and I always think that's very important. With 10 minutes left, I have these tiny little flower pots that are made to go on like miniature things that I got at a hobby shop. My thumbnail is yellow from working with the paint very quickly. My hands are shaking. I literally put just a bit of super glue down and cut some tulips and rose tips off from these and put it only on the heroes for the Night Haunt bases because that's all I had time to do. If I had a little bit more time, I had planned to put some maybe grass tufts in there to make this look more like a living wasteland, but this was time's up. 24 hours was done, and I was pretty darn happy with it. I like the pop of color for the heroes. I think it adds a lot, and I was happy. But before we go on to the final results, I want to say thank you again to Slayer Miniatures for doing the challenge in the first place and being so knowledgeable and so good with painting his minis and sharing his skill with others. Oh, by the way, did somebody say Skillshare? Thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring this video, and look, I've been hawking and selling and promoting Skillshare for like a year and a half now. I've been a member for 2 years. They're a great company, and they help you learn a lot of new things. You can dive heavily into one specific topic to learn a whole lot about it, or just learn a bunch of different things. Like this class for Audio Engineering 101 has slowly become one of my favorite classes. By Scott Liu, he's a fantastic speaker. One of the things that I like to learn about is making my audio as crisp and clean as I possibly can. Be nice down in the comments. And Scott Liu is fantastic about it. He's given me so many good tips for some DIY soundproofing. You can even see my room here. I copied his thing by just throwing up a blanket behind my computer to help with the soundproofing. And I hate it when audio engineers talk about audio engineering and they have a bad mic. His class is absolutely fantastic. You should definitely go check it out, as well as Skillshare as a whole. So I'll help you if you help me, because the first 1,000 people to use the link in the description below will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. Thank you you, Skillshare, but let's move on to the glamour shots. And boy, glamour is exactly right, because this army is looking mighty fine. You might be saying there's way more than 6 heroes. I know, I like to be able to swap them in and out. I used way more models in this than I would ever need for an actual army, but I just wanted to have some options. So I technically overdid it in a 24-hour period. I like showing the comparison between what they look like before and what they look like now, and it's just night and day. It is fantastic to feel like I've created this army and have this color scheme. I'm far more invested in them than I have been other armies that I've played that I've never actually finished painting. A lot of that, again, comes down to being able to follow this really fun tutorial by Slayer Miniatures. I can't sing his praises enough. I don't even know the guy. I just really liked his video and wanted to give it a shot myself. I found it very inspirational, and I hope you guys look past things that I do and find other people who are very inspirational and find color schemes or things that make you want to just get out and do the hobby. And that's kind of what his video did. It said like, hey, here's a challenge, just do the hobby, and then you'll have a lot of fun with it, and you'll have something completed that you can be proud of. And that's what I did. I'm really proud of this army. If you say that this army looks really bad, I'll cry about it, but I also won't believe you, because I'm very, very happy with this. There's a few things I didn't get to finish, like Kurtos Valencian's banner. I didn't really get to paint up the details on that, and there's just some things I didn't have time for. Those are things I can finish on my own. This was 24 hours worth of work, and for 24 hours, man, I did over 60 models, right? Normally it takes me an hour per model, so I'm very, very happy, and I hope that you like the results too. Thank you so much for watching. Sorry for the delay in videos. Again, as I said earlier, I had a little bit of a health thing there for a bit, but now hopefully I'll be back on the right track and getting things out regularly. So thank you for your patience. Subscribe if you might want to see some more stuff like this in the future, or comment down below if you want to see it. That's good for me to know. And comment down below if you absolutely hated it and I made an awful army. That's fine. I want to hear that too. Like the video if you like it, dislike it if you dislike it. That helps me know what you like and don't like. Either way, I hope that you have a fantastic day.